Are you really living? This is a question I've been asking myself a lot recently, especially in this last week. And I think what prompted it was coming across this random clip. The clip was from some late night show. I forgot who the guest was or what the show was, but the guest was asked about their Instagram. They used to have an Instagram, they ended up deleting it. And the host was asking, why'd you get rid of your Instagram? And the guest said something along the lines of, well, one day when I was on my Instagram scrolling, one of the reels that came up was a video from the top of Mount Everest. And when he saw that video, he felt as if, wow, this is really cool for a second. But then for a moment, it made him take a step back because he realized this used to be something that was like a great feat. It took a lot of money, a lot of training, took months, if not years of preparation and planning to go ahead and do. And something that used to be seen as something that was a big feat, being able to go up there and experience and see what that summit was like, he was able to just scroll on his phone and see within 10 to 15 seconds of the background. Now, when you think about something like this, it's like it takes away the experience of what it would be like to go ahead and experience something like that. And now we're just in a day and age where you can just go watch something online real quick and feel like you get the same experience to a certain extent. Obviously, it's not the same as summiting that actual thing, but to a certain point, you get to see what the summit is. And I think a lot of times this feeds itself into everyday life now and how most things are. I think so many times now when we're on social media, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, doesn't matter what it is, there's so many of these experiences in life that we can so very easily just scroll and find someone else that has done it. And while it's still cool to see these things, I still watch a lot of YouTube and such. I think it takes away something that makes it really special. In other words, it takes away our ability to really kind of live for the things that matter that much to us. Obviously, people still do things in their life that matter, right? Like it's not like you just only scroll your whole life and never experience anything. Or at least that's what I thought until recently I started looking at my own habits. If you know a little bit about me, I've kind of talked about this before, but I'll kind of come out here and just say it. I've been someone that was on the receiving end of some narcissistic activities in my life. If you've ever been in a situation like that, it doesn't matter if it's a relationship or your family structure, you understand what that's like. Now, I'm not going to go into some deep dive about what narcissism is here, but I do think it's relevant for this video because one of the results that happens when you're in a dynamic like that is that you start to do everything you can to appease to the person that has those narcissistic tendencies, and you put your own needs and wants on the back burner, if at all. And I spent a large part of my life doing this. You can do it so naturally that you don't even realize that you're doing it after a while. When you think about, am I really living? Sometimes the quick answer is yes, but if you sit with your thoughts, take a step back and look at your life, you may not really feel like you're living at all. And that's how I felt. And a lot of times, like I think I reflected back on my life to the point where when I was younger, I moved around quite a bit. I saw different states. I lived in different states. I saw different countries and things too. And I feel like to a certain extent, I always told myself I was living because I had all these experiences that other people didn't have. The only thing is, every time I moved, every time I did anything, it was never my decision. It was never under my control. I was just going where I was told, and I was doing what I was told also. So many times in my life, I've made decisions because I thought it was what I was supposed to do, now because it's what I wanted to do. And that even extends into this channel. On one hand, I feel really good whenever I can make a video and someone comments. Even if I get one comment on a video, that matters to me more than if I get 1,000 views on a video or something too, because I know that I can see it, it's tangible, and that I helped someone with something. Whether that's just putting a smile on your face, giving you perspective, or whatever it is you take away from it, to me, I can tangibly see that there was some type of feedback that was positive, and it keeps me going. And while this is a good thing to a certain extent, I think sometimes it can make us look for the positive feedback. At least if you were within a narcissistic environment or had those tendencies and things around you, that's what it was, right? You're used to these feedback loops. You really only keep doing things if you feel like you get that positive affirmation back to know that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. While I set out on this channel to make sure that I was doing things for people, to try and help people, in a lot of ways I wanted to look back to an early version of myself and talk about some things, and give a little bit of hope, inspiration, positivity into the world that I wish I had when I was growing up. And I still certainly want to keep doing that with this channel. I'm not going to take that away. But I think the thing is that I started to realize recently is that when I asked myself that question of, am I really living? I think the answer is no. For so long, I've had this issue where I've kind of went back and forth week by week. I'll think of ideas that I want to film, and then I would go back on them and I change them, and I keep going back and forth. I do this every week. Now you can't always see this because it's not on camera, but it happens often with me. I always felt like what's my niche? What is it that I'm trying to talk about? Who am I trying to reach? What am I trying to do? Sometimes this leads me to be a little bit scatterbrained and such too. So when I started thinking about a lot of this stuff, I started thinking well, okay, when's the last time that I did something that I wanted to do just because I found it interesting? And when I asked myself that question, I could not come up with an answer. I love getting out, filming cinematic shots or making things look nice and all that. But at the same time, I felt like, when is the last time I've like visited somewhere I've wanted to go on my own accord? When's the last time I signed up for a class or did something else that I cared about? When's the last time that I had an interest or something in my head and pursued that because I wanted to? A lot of times what I've been doing in my life is doing things because I felt like I'm supposed to do it. I felt like this is the one thing that I'm able to contribute to the world. So therefore I just try to sit here and talk in front of the camera like this. And while I know that it helps some people to a certain extent, I've always wanted to make a bigger impact to help people in a different way. And I don't think I've really been able to identify that because I've never really truthfully allowed myself to step into the role that matters to me. I've never allowed myself to do things that were interesting to me, or in other words, I've never really sat there and just tried to live for myself and not for other people. If you're watching something like this and some of this stuff resonates with you, I just want you to know you're not alone. And a lot of people feel like this. We don't always talk about it out loud, but I promise you there's a lot of people out here that feel the same way you do. The point of this video is to kind of talk about that perspective, but I also want to make something known that I'm still trying to figure it all out, just like you are. And I think with this channel, it's important to me. I love YouTube. I love being able to sit here and see other people's experiences. There's a lot of YouTubers I look up to that have inspired me. But I also want to make sure that for as much as I consume other people's content, whether on YouTube, Instagram, or anything else, I want to make sure that I'm living as much too. Because a lot of times, as much inspiration as I've taken from people, I realize that just like I gave an example up front with that reel that the person saw that made them delete their Instagram, I'm not living my life. I'm just watching other people live their life in ways that I wish I could. I'm not the smartest person in the world. I don't have the most money. I'm just a very average person like anybody else out here. And while I have things that I could put in my way as limitations and things that hold me back, I also have a lot of possibilities in life, and so do you. My challenge to you is to try and look at your life and ask yourself what would make you feel like you're living, not just watching your life go by. I'm not saying don't consume content and don't watch other people have these great experiences. I'm still going to keep doing that. But I think I'm going to try my very best to start living in ways that maybe I never allowed myself to do before. And I hope that you can too. Take care. Hope you have a great day. See you next one. Peace.